The topic for today is ethical issues surrounding keeping animals as pets. Many people get companionship and a lot of happiness when they have animals as pets. And there are certain animal species that are already categorized as a common pets because they have long history of being human companions, and such are dogs and cats. It is not acceptable and morally wrong when we force animals as companions, especially those that are supposed to live in the wild environment. And because of such situation, that is where we are considering some of the ethical problems that are involved in keeping animals as pets. The first consideration is inappropriate environment. The environment in which a pet will live must give the animals, the pets, a lot of freedom, a semblance of the experience they will have if they are in their natural habitats. And therefore, when we keep birds in small cages, when we put fish in bowls or in small tanks, when we decide to, accommodate a large dog in a small flat, or when animals are chained up for a long period of time, we are actually keeping the pet under inappropriate environment, and this constitutes an ethical issue. Number two, the kind of treatment that we give our animals will also determine whether we are ethically correct or ethically wrong. For example, when we give our pets too little food or too much food, or we give them the wrong food, we're giving the animal inappropriate treatment. When we do not allow our pets to have sufficient exercises, or we do not put them in an environment where they have sufficient space, or when they lack veterinary care, we are actually giving the pets animals inappropriate treatment. One other very important aspect that we need to consider is the issue of not giving training to our pets. Good training will give the dog a happier and a more fulfilling life. So if such an animal is denied the opportunity of being trained, then we are meting out inappropriate treatment to the pet animal. In addition, when we don't give our pets sufficient companionship, and that is the reason why when we keep dogs or cats, we ensure that the same breed are at least two so that they can keep themselves company. In addition to that, we also need to provide enough time with which we are going to spend with the animal to give them the great companionship and the joy they deserve. Don't forget, we have removed them from their own companion by keeping them as pets. When we do unnatural veterinary practices like tail docking or castration on pets, we'll be giving them inappropriate treatment, except in cases where these treatments are likely to benefit the animal. You can castrate or do tail docking for a walking dog. When we are cruel, when we neglect, and when we abandon our pet animals, we'll be putting them under inappropriate treatment. Sometimes we desire to keep pets, but we use the wrong animals as pets. Under such situation, we'll be talking about an unethical practice of using inappropriate animals as pets. Wild animals should be respected as wild animals, and so we should leave them in the wild and allow them to exhibit and express their natural behavior in the wild. Sometimes we can really provide for these animals, you know, the kind of provisions that they require. And especially when we are keeping exotic animals as pets, under this situation, we'll be keeping animals inappropriately. When domesticated animals that are bred for high activity or agricultural work should not be used or kept idle or put in small flats. When we do this, they will be using the animals inappropriately. Domesticated animals that are bred for fighting should not be kept as pets. Otherwise, we will not be allowed them to express the full potential for which they have been bred for. So when we keep animals under such situation, we say we are keeping inappropriate animals. The other ethical issue is the issue of overbreeding. Breeding ensures that animals express particular traits that we desire, or they express particular appearance that we desire. Or in institutions where we have overbred our animals to overemphasize particular characteristics, like if you bred an animal to have too much hair or to be too big, to the extent that they begin to suffer pain or discomfort as a result of that breeding, then we call it overbreeding. It's an ethical issue. Some of those domestic animals are so overbred that they are at greater risk of genetic defects or diseases. They succumb easily to certain diseases. Under this condition, we have actually overbred the animals. We also have the issue of exploitation of the animals. When we use pet animals to earn money or we use them to beg, what we are doing is that we are exploiting the animals and it violates their rights. When we buy animals from a puppy farm, which encourage others to exploit animals, we are also committing exploitation on the animals. When we use animals for crime, it's a great exploitation of the animals. So this has to be considered appropriately as we deal with pet animals. And they are very important ethical issues that need to be looked into. Now we have the issue of breeding of homeless animals. The import of this is that when we know that we are not ready to take care of the offspring of the animals, it is better we don't breed them, because animals that we don't cater for, animals that are homeless, animals that roams around, have the tendency to suffer from cold, hunger, and diseases. They are also susceptible to multiple attacks by humans. In other words, they have no owner. They roam the streets, they run around, they can stray to eat something that is beneficial to human, and then they will be attacked. So every new unwanted bat poses further difficulty in finding homes for the animals. And so it's very difficult to have places where they can temporarily be accommodated. And under such conditions, they become homeless. And homeless cats and dogs can cause the death of other animals, especially those that they own or they prey on. For example, cats can eat the chicken, dogs can also eat the chicken, and under such situation, will be causing problem and constitute a nuisance to the environment. Homeless cats, dogs, and other pets or companion animals are also more at risk of diseases because of the exposure to cold, hunger. They can also be attacked by other animals, including humans, and they may also be involved in accidents. That is why we see on road, we see some dogs that have been hit by cars and they lie there dead and constitute environmental nuisance, as the case may be. So, when we have taken decisions to keep animals as pets, we should try as much as possible to ensure that all these ethical considerations are put into consideration so that we don't run foul of some of the things that we have just said. We meet in the next class by the grace of God.